Doug's Big Shoe Disaster. Story by Jim Jenkins and Joe Aaron. Read to you today by Gammy. In Doug's world, there is Pork Chop, Roger Coates, Patty Mayonnaise, Skeeter Valentine, and Bebe Buff. One morning, Doug decided to go for a walk, but before he had gone very far, he stepped in a puddle, and his left foot got wet. "What do you know, Pork Chop?" he said to his dog. "My shoe sprang a leak. Looks like I need a new pair of shoes." Pork Chop looked down at Doug's shoes. They were getting old. The laces were in knots and Doug's toes were sticking out. So the two of them headed for the Four-Leaf Clover Mall. Doug and Pork Chop walked into Shoes in Shoes. They looked at lots of shoes. Doug tried on boat shoes, but they just made him seasick. He tried on banana slippers, but they were way too slippery. He tried on Swiss cheese shoes, but they had more holes than his old shoes. He tried on house shoes, but they were much too roomy. He tried on tuna shoes, but they just made him think of Patty Mayonnaise. Doug was about to give up. Then he spotted another pair of shoes. They looked a lot like his old shoes, but bigger. "Hey, Pork Chop, look at those," said Doug. He tried them on, and they fit just right. And they looked just right, too. "But wait," said Doug. His heart sank. "Everyone's wearing fancy shoes, Pork Chop. Nobody gets plain old shoes anymore. If I get the gray and white shoes, I'm scared the kids will laugh at me." Pork Chop shrugged and looked down at the floor. Doug didn't want to be laughed at, so he decided to get the tuna shoes. "Why don't you wear your new shoes home?" said the saleswoman, putting Doug's old shoes in the shoebox. As Doug and Pork Chop walked home, they ran into some friends. "Hey, Doug," said Skeeter, pointing to Doug's shoe and shoes bag. "New shoes? Let's see them." "Sure," said Doug. But before Doug could say that the new shoes were on his feet, Roger grabbed the bag and dumped out the old shoes. The kids stared at them. "Cool! The worn look! Like washed denim jeans. Really cool," they said at once. "Do they have any more?" And the kids ran off to Shoes and Shoes. Doug looked down at his tuna shoes. His friends hadn't even noticed them. They liked his old shoes. They thought those were his new shoes. When Doug and Pork Chop got home, Doug thought about his old shoes. He thought about his new shoes, and he thought about what the kids had said. He thought about them looking for shoes like his old shoes. He looked at Pork Chop. The lucky guy didn't even have to wear shoes. Finally, Doug decided to return the new shoes. "Why should I keep them?" he said to Pork Chop. "They weren't even the ones that I wanted. Maybe I could wear my old ones a little longer." So Doug took off his new shoes. He put his old shoes back on and put the new shoes in the bag. On the way to the store, Doug bumped into some more friends. "Hey, Doug, new shoes? From my favorite store?" said Bebe Buff. "Can we see them?" "Well, said Doug, and he stubbed the toe that was sticking out of his old shoes. The shoe box fell on the ground, and out fell the tuna shoes. Bebe, Connie, and Chalky all stared at the shoes in wonder. "They're fabulous," said Bebe. "I've got to have a pair." Before Doug could speak, the kids ran off. Doug knew where they were going, to Shoes and Shoes. Doug and Pork Chop turned around and headed home. Back in his room, Doug got out his journal and began writing. "Dear Journal, the kids liked my old shoes when they thought they were new. They didn't even look at my new shoes when they thought they were old. Then they did like the new shoes when they saw that they were new. But the shoes I really want are the gray and white shoes that are back in the store." The next day, Doug knew just what to do. He went back to the store and returned the tuna shoes, and he bought the gray and white shoes. Doug was nearly home when a voice called out, "Doug, watch out! A puddle!" But it was too late. He had already stepped in the puddle. "I tried to warn you in time so that you wouldn't get your brand new shoes all wet," said Patty Mayonnaise. "That's okay, Patty," said Doug with a smile. "Actually, this is great." "What's great?" Patty asked. "Not only do my new shoes fit right and look right, They don't leak. And do you know what else makes these shoes? Asked Doug. What? Asked Patty. Perfect. And Doug smiled. The end. We have so much more to learn. Be blessed.